Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I used to believe I understood my life down to the smallest detail. My name is Gerald, and for 8 years I lived beside a woman named Julia, who I thought I could read without effort. I knew her routines, her habits, the way she whispered jokes under her breath when she thought only I could hear them. Our marriage wasn't dramatic or chaotic. It was steady, predictable, solid enough that I didn't question anything she said or did. Looking back now, I realize certainty can be its own kind of blindness. The last normal week of my old life began when Julia told me she was going on a girls' trip to Jamaica with 2 friends from college, Victoria and Elise. She was excited in a way I hadn't seen in a while, packing early, planning outfits, checking weather updates like it was a mission. I teased her about bringing half the closet. She rolled her eyes but smiled. "Gerald, it's Jamaica," she said. "I'm supposed to overpack." I laughed. "Just don't come back with a regret tattoo." She nudged my shoulder. "Please, I'm not 20 anymore." The morning she left, we sat in the kitchen eating toast and drinking coffee. She wore a bright sundress, her hair tied up, sunglasses perched on her head, even though the sun hadn't risen yet. "You'll be okay without me?" she asked, half joking. "I'll survive," I said. "Just text me when you land." She kissed my cheek, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out the door, humming to herself. I watched her drive away, not thinking for a second that this was the moment everything began to shift. For 4 days, life continued as usual. Work, dinner alone, a few short messages from Julia, photos of beaches, palm trees, drinks with umbrellas. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. I didn't feel a hint of what was coming. But the night before she returned, I woke up around 3 in the morning with a strange heaviness in my chest. No reason behind it, no dream. Just a quiet, unsettled feeling sitting in the middle of my ribs. I brushed it off. If I had paid more attention to that early warning, maybe nothing would have changed. Or maybe the truth was always coming, no matter what I did. Julia came back on a Thursday afternoon. She walked in smelling like sunscreen and airport soap, wearing a loose shirt and braided hair. She hugged me, but it felt brief, almost rushed, like she needed to get it over with. "Trip was great," she said quickly. "I'm exhausted, though. Long flight." She didn't look exhausted. She looked unsettled. At first, I told myself she was just tired from travel. Jet lag can make anybody weird. But within 24 hours, I noticed things I couldn't explain away. She kept her phone glued to her palm. She typed fast, then locked the screen before I walked close. She changed her phone password that same night. I didn't mention it, but I saw the way she shielded the screen with her hand when a notification buzzed. Small things piled up. She showered the moment she got home, not just once, but 3 separate times in the first day, as if she was trying to rinse off the entire trip. She didn't tell any stories. Usually she talked for hours after traveling, describing every little moment. This time, silence. When I asked simple questions, she dodged them. "How was the resort?" "It was fine." "What did you guys do most nights?" "Nothing special." "Nothing special in Jamaica?" I asked, half laughing. Her eyes flicked up for a second, then down again. "Just girl stuff." "Why do you need the details?" The tone hit me harder than the words. I leaned back. "I was just asking." "Well, don't interrogate me," she snapped. I stared at her. Julia never talked to me like that. Not once in 8 years. She must have realized it too, because she sighed and turned away. "Sorry, I'm tired," she murmured. But it didn't stop. She went to bed early. She woke up before me. She stepped outside to take calls. She said they were from Victoria or Elise, but she sounded nervous, not friendly. Every day another gap formed, another shift, another piece of her I didn't recognize. Still, I didn't accuse her of anything. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't push. I just watched. And the more I watched, the more obvious it became. The woman who walked back into my house wasn't the same one who left for Jamaica. The first real crack appeared a week after she got back. Julia started getting nauseous in the mornings. Not a mild stomach flip. I'm talking about full-on rushing to the bathroom nausea. At first I thought it was a bug, maybe something she ate on the trip. But the sickness didn't pass. It got worse every day. One morning, I heard her gagging behind the closed bathroom door. When she came out, her face was pale and her hair was sticking to her forehead. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she said too quickly. just adjusting back to regular food. I nodded, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. She went straight to the bedroom and lay down without another word. Over the next few days, she became tired, easily irritated, and strangely emotional. She pushed her dinner away, claiming she couldn't stand certain smells. She started wearing looser clothes. I didn't say anything out loud, but inside, questions were stacking up like bricks. Then came the night everything tightened. Julia had fallen asleep early. I went to the laundry room to toss in a load of her clothes. When I checked the pockets of her jeans, something small and folded slid out, a wrinkled receipt from a bar. Not unusual, people keep receipts. But this one wasn't from here. It was stamped with the name of a resort in Jamaica. And on the back, written in pen, was a name I had never heard before. Keon. Just the name. Nothing else. I stood there for a long moment. I turned the receipt over again and again, trying to piece together how it ended up in her pocket when she never mentioned meeting anyone. I didn't wake her. I didn't storm into the bedroom demanding answers. Instead, I folded the receipt the same way I found it, slid it back into her pocket, and started the washer. The next day, her nausea got worse. She snapped at me for asking if she wanted tea. She wouldn't let me near her phone. She avoided any physical closeness. That's when the thought hit me. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet, solid possibility dropping into place. Something happened in Jamaica. And whatever it was, Julia wasn't telling me. 2 weeks after Julia came home, the tension in the house felt like it had weight. She moved around quietly, avoiding me, avoiding conversation, avoiding anything that looked like honesty. Her nausea kept getting worse, and she was sleeping more than I'd ever seen her sleep. One evening, when she pushed her dinner away and held her stomach like something inside hurt, I finally said it. "Julia, you need to take a test." She froze, not annoyed, not confused, frightened. "I don't need a test," she whispered. "You've been sick for days," I replied calmly. "You missed your period." Her eyes snapped toward me. "Why are you tracking my body? That's controlling." "I'm tracking the calendar," I said. "That's all." She stood up, pacing in front of the table. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't push harder. I just waited. After a long minute, she grabbed her keys. "I'll go get one," she said. "No," I answered. "I already bought one." The silence that followed was louder than any argument we could have had. She stared at the small box when I placed it on the counter. Then she took it without a word and walked to the bathroom, closing the door quietly but firmly behind her. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. When the door finally opened, she didn't speak. She simply held the test out in her hand. 2 lines. She sat on the edge of the couch and covered her face. I didn't sit next to her. I stayed standing. "We need a doctor's appointment," I said. "We have to know how far along you are." "I already know," she whispered. But I kept my voice steady. "The doctor will confirm it." A few days later, we were sitting in an exam room while the doctor typed calmly at her desk. She looked at Julia, smiled, and said, "Based on what I'm seeing, you're roughly 6, maybe 7 weeks." I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. Julia had left for Jamaica exactly 6.5 weeks earlier. The math was exact. The timeline was unbreakable. The truth didn't leave room for interpretation. On the drive home, Julia kept her hands in her lap. She didn't cry. She didn't explain. She just stared out the window, chewing her lip like she was holding her whole world shut with her teeth. When we pulled into the driveway, I finally spoke. "Tell me," I said quietly, "who is Keon?" Her breath caught. She looked at me with a kind of surrender I'd never seen on her face. "He was a man I met in Jamaica," she said. "And it happened once. Just once. I'm sorry, Gerald. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to try a Jamaican guy." She said the words. But nothing about them changed the truth sitting between us. The child wasn't mine, and our life as I knew it had just ended. After her confession, Julia waited for me to explode. She watched me like she expected something loud enough to match the size of what she had done. But I didn't give her any of that. I just went quiet, a silence she couldn't read. She followed me from room to room for the rest of the evening, talking fast, apologizing, trying to create explanations that sounded less damaging. It wasn't planned. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. I thought I could forget it if I just came home and focused on us. She kept circling the same lines, hoping one would soften the truth. I didn't argue. I didn't comfort her. I didn't attack her. I simply nodded occasionally and listened like I was studying a stranger. Because that's exactly what she was now. Later that night, when she finally cried herself to sleep, I sat in the living room with my laptop and opened a private browser window. I searched for the best family lawyer in the area. The name came up, Anthony Clark. The next morning, while Julia was showering, I stepped outside and called him. I kept my voice calm, steady, factual. He asked me to come in right away. Anthony's office was quiet, organized, and cold in the way serious places usually are. He didn't look surprised when I told him the story. Infidelity wasn't new to him. But the pregnancy, he leaned back slightly at that part. You need to protect yourself, he said, legally and financially, immediately. He laid out the steps, separate finances. Document everything, prepare for divorce, keep emotions out of it. I agreed to all of it, no hesitation. When I got home, Julia was sitting on the couch with red eyes. She stood up quickly. Gerald, we can fix this, she said, voice shaking. I'll do anything. We'll talk later, I replied, keeping my expression blank. That sentence broke something in her. She reached for my arm, but I stepped aside. I spent the rest of the week quietly gathering what I needed. I opened a new account and moved my money. All legal, all tracked, all clean. For the first time in days, I felt my world steady under me. Not because of Julia, but because I finally had a plan. By the time the weekend came, everything was ready. Anthony had drafted the divorce petition, complete with timelines, medical confirmation, and a signed statement outlining Julia's admission. The file was organized and airtight. I didn't tell her I had already submitted it. I didn't tell her a court date was pending. I just moved with the kind of calm that puts people on edge. That Saturday evening, I asked Julia if we could talk. She looked relieved, like she thought the worst had passed. Of course, she said. Let's fix this. She tried to smile. It wobbled at the edges. We sat in the living room. She positioned herself close to me on the couch, trying to close the physical distance I'd kept all week. I shifted slightly away. Gerald, she began, I've been thinking about everything. Therapy might help. Or maybe a trip, just us. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I want to save our marriage. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, I reached into the folder beside me and placed a stack of papers on the coffee table. What's that? She asked, already afraid of the answer. Divorce filings, I said. She blinked. What? No, Gerald, wait. We haven't even tried. I'm not interested in repairing something that died in another country, I replied. I won't pretend this is recoverable. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. We can get past this. I swear I'll do better. It was a mistake, one night. Julia, I said quietly. This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is dropping a glass. This was a choice. Her tears came fast. She reached for my hand. I didn't give it to her. I already filed, I continued. All communication goes through Anthony now. I'll be leaving soon. You can't just walk away, she cried. Gerald, please, please don't do this. Don't throw away everything we've built. I'm not throwing anything away, I said. You did. For a moment, she just stared at me, breathing hard, like her body was trying to hold together something already broken. Is there someone else? She whispered. Is that why you're doing this so easily? No, I answered. There doesn't need to be someone else for me to respect myself. Her face crumpled. This is final, I said. There is nothing to discuss. She realized then that the conversation wasn't a negotiation. It was a notification. I started packing that same night. Not frantically, not angrily, just methodically, the way I did everything else in my life. I took a single duffel bag from the closet. I didn't take anything sentimental. Not one photo, not a gift, not a keepsake from our years together. Those things didn't belong to my life anymore. Julia stood in the doorway as I packed. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her, like someone had drained the color out of her. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her entire world in place. You're really leaving, she whispered. Yes. She stepped forward. Where are you going? I'm not sharing that. Can we at least talk in the morning? Just one more conversation. Please. No, I said. It ends here. She reached for my arm. Gerald, I'm pregnant. I'm alone in this. I don't know what to do. I didn't pull away violently. I just took one step back. "The child isn't mine," I said calmly. "And you're not alone. You chose someone that night in Jamaica, not me." Her face twisted, not with anger, but with a kind of fear I hadn't seen before. She leaned against the dresser, breathing hard. "I made one mistake," she choked out. "And now you're abandoning me?" "You didn't make one mistake," I said. "You made a decision, and I'm making mine." For a long time she didn't speak. She just stood there, trembling, staring at the bag as if it was a weapon pointed at her. When I finished packing, I picked it up and walked past her. She followed me to the front door, crying again, her voice cracking in a way that might have broken me years ago. "Gerald, please," she begged. "Don't go. I can't do this without you." I opened the door. "You already did it without me," I said. Then I stepped outside. I walked to my car without looking back. The moment the engine started, something heavy inside me finally let go. By sunrise, I was 3 hours away. By noon, I had a new phone number. By sunset, I had the keys to a small rental apartment under my own name, in a town where nobody knew Julia, the pregnancy, or the ruins she left behind. And for the first time in a long time, the silence felt peaceful. I stayed quiet for the first few weeks after leaving. No calls, no emails, no updates. The only people who knew where I was were my best friend, Bentley, and my lawyer, Anthony. I built a simple routine: wake up early, work a steady job, eat alone, sleep without interruption. The quiet was strange at first, but not uncomfortable. It felt like standing on solid ground after months of walking through fog. Anthony sent updates only when necessary. The first came 2 weeks after I left. Julia had moved out of our house. She couldn't afford the mortgage on her own, and she didn't want to stay in a place full of ghosts, as she told him. After that, the emails started coming. Not directly to me. Julia sent them through the lawyer. Apologies. Paragraphs about regret and fear. Long messages about how she wasn't thinking clearly in Jamaica, about how she got swept up and made a choice that spiraled out of her control. I didn't reply to a single one. The final court date approached quickly. The judge didn't waste time. The divorce was finalized in a single session. No drawn-out drama, no fights over property or money. When Anthony called me afterward, he said, "You handled this better than most people ever could." "I handled it the only way that kept me sane," I replied. Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became clear. Some nights, I walked around my new neighborhood. I didn't think about Julia. I didn't think about what she was doing or whether she had the baby yet. Her future wasn't tied to mine anymore. Her choices belonged to her. So did her consequences. Bentley visited once. We sat on the balcony overlooking the street, talking about everything except the past. "You seem lighter," he said eventually. "I am," I said. "For the first time in years. If there's anything I learned, it's this. I used to believe stability came from knowing the person beside me. Now I know it comes from knowing myself and refusing to lie to my own reflection." I walked away from the wreckage. I didn't look back. And the peace I found afterward was worth everything I left behind. Thank you for watching.